Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a sales page in MailerLite so that you can integrate it with Stripe to sell a digital product, to take payment, and then automatically within MailerLite, they will get an email with either a link to a digital product or the information that they need for the product that they have bought from you. So first of all, we're going to start off in Stripe, and you need to create a product in Stripe. So you're going to go to Product Catalog. And then in the top right hand corner, you're going to go to create a product, and I am going to call this example product. Now, everything that you type in here, it will pull through to MailerLite. So I want to put through as many descriptions as you possibly can. So this is where you would write a full description of your product, and then you can upload an image. So I'm just going to upload an image here. And there you go. Now, the thing to remember with the image that you upload is when we put it through to MailerLite, we can change the text here. It gives us the option to edit that within MailerLite. However, we cannot edit the image. So every image, every time you have a sales button, it will use this image. So it's important to know that. So we're going to set it up as a one-off payment. I'm going to charge £27 for it, and we're going to add that product. So that is now added as a product within my Stripe account, so we can then go over to MailerLite and get started. Okay, so once you've created the product, we're going to come into MailerLite and we're going to create the page. Now, I'm only going to do it quickly and do an example one, because you can build it out like you would any other landing page, but I'm going to show you how to specifically set up the bits for Stripe, and I will show you it all in a big landing and in a big sales page on a page that I've created already. So I'm going to go to sites. I'm going to click on create site, and I'm going to call this example because that was the name of the product, and I like it to all follow through. So example group, I've already created a group called example group. So we will go down and click on continue. So anybody who goes through gets that, but there is something that you do need to change. So we can go to template gallery. If you are on a pro version, you can use that. You can go to existing landing pages, or you can start from scratch. So I'm just going to show you how to start from scratch. So if I was starting from scratch again, I would go on, get rid of that page navigation. I would add in all of the different elements that I wanted. So for example, if I wanted a heading, I would drag it over. If I wanted some text, I would pull it in. If I wanted to add a couple of images, whatever, I would pull all of that over. But here, if I was going to add a section, I would go to add a section. I would go to pricing and purchase, and I would click on Stripe product. So then added that text, I would come over, and the next element I would add would be a Stripe one-time product. So I would click on that and drag that over, because this will then pull information through from Stripe. So we'd want to click on that. On the cog on the top there, we'd want to click on that, and we would select a product. So the example product that I just set up, we would use that. Now, there are some important things that you need to do on here. Firstly, if it is a downloadable product, so for example, say you've sold them a PDF product, you would need to give them the link for where they could get that. So for example, just for now, I'm just going to use canva.com just as an example to show you how it all works. ID tax collection, it will show it on the checkout form. Requires terms acceptance, so you can add a checkout so that they can accept your terms and conditions. Now we can take the image on and off. We can change the description, keep the price, keep the title. But I keep all of this as it is. But what I do, so you know how I said in Stripe, it will pull everything through. So this is what I wrote in Stripe. Whilst we can't change this image, we can change this text. So I could go kickstart your business. It would only change on this page. It doesn't change anything in Stripe. And if we do another button down here, it will still pull through that original information from Stripe. So you could change that, double click on this and change that to gets me access, for example. And this would click and open the checkout page. Now, what you also need to make sure you do is go to settings and go to success view. So we've got two things to look at here. Firstly, this is what they will see after they check out. So they will stay on the same page, but that block there will change to thank you for your purchase, have a great day, with a button to download. Now you can change that as you have before, but the important thing that you need to do when you set this up is to go into settings, success view, action after checkout. You need to add them to a group. So we're going to go down to example group and we're going to add them there. Why do you need to do that? Because that is going to kick off the automation that we're going to send them. So we're going to send them an automated email that will say, thank you for purchasing. So even though they've got access to download here, we still want to send them another email to confirm, particularly if it's a product like my spring clean, that's 30 days worth of emails. We need to kickstart that sequence off. So you can do that again. So let's just delete that block here. So let's say we added in another block and we did another payment thing down here. Again, if I was to go to that product again and go to example product, you can see how on this one, I've changed that text, but this one, it's still got that original text. Annoyingly, again, you can't change it so it's the other way around. But what you would need to do is in any situation where you have pulled that through, you always need to make sure that you put that download URL. So canva.com. You change that success view and you make sure that you are changing it to add into a group. So on every single page, on every single block where you have the checkout, you need to make sure that you are doing that, because annoyingly what it does on one, it doesn't do for others. You would then click on done editing. So once you've made your page look all pretty, you would then change your URL. So again, I would use example to keep it clean all the way through. Choose an image as I did before. So choose the same one I always do. The SEO settings would be exactly the same as we did for the other landing page. So example product, put your keywords in, put your page description in. Yes, allow it for searching, especially if it's a sellable product. Social share, again, we would do exactly the same as before. So that's what it would pull through to social media. So example product, put your description in, example product, and then upload an image. Now, again, I've already got this image on here. It won't pull the image through that you've put on Stripe, so you would need to pull that through. And then we're going to click on save and continue. Now, before we do anything else, before we hit publish, there is something else that we have to do. So you've got your analytics, your automation we're going to do in a bit. Domains we don't need to worry about. Double opt-in, you can turn it off if you want. Annoyingly, for every page that you create on MailerLite, you have to turn double opt-in off. But there's no form for them to fill in on this one. They won't get this confirmation. What they will get is this from Stripe. So if you click on Stripe for the page, you will see who's bought it. Click on digital product, and this is the email that they will automatically receive once they have bought that product. So this is separate to any other automation that you have going on. They will automatically receive this email. And a lot of people don't change this because they don't know that this is what's being sent out. So they just set up another automation and don't realize that this is going and people are getting a random email. So we want to go to edit. Here is your product name. So we're going to change that. And we're just going to go here is XYZ. Click on save. For some reason, it doesn't like that in there. So go to the subject here, and it will say first name. Here is your product name. Now, I'm not a great fan of variables. I like some of them, but not all of them. So I would delete this because as much as I know it would pull through a correct product name, I sometimes like to just double check. So I would say, hey, here is access to your example product. Click on save. The sender email, absolutely fine. But this email we want to change here. So we're going to click on edit. We're going to click on the image. Going to click on the image on the right hand side, and we are going to add our logo as always to the top. If you don't like the size, you can drag it and make it bigger just by holding on the little arrow. Thank you for your purchase. Now again, hey first name, so it's got the variable in it. So if we change that to hey name. Thank you for shopping with us. You can download your copy of, I'm going to delete the variable and put example product, because there's no need for it to be a variable really, because yes, the name will change depending on who's checked out, but the product is always going to be the same. By clicking the button below, we hope you enjoy it. I would personalize that even more by putting Shelley with a kiss, signing it off as I normally would. Settings, there's nothing to change there. You could always put a link in there, that's fine. And then because it is a downloadable product, if you click on that, you can change the text on that to perhaps download now. Maybe you want to change it to something else. And then if you go to settings, go to button settings, click on the color, you can change the color of the button and click on save. Now, if you didn't want the button in there, it's not as easy as just deleting a block weirdly, but if you delete all of the text, the button disappears. Go figure. But if you want it back, you can see that it's still there. You just need to type in hello and you can see the button reappears. But if you get rid of all the text, the button disappears. Click on save. Click on done editing. And that is that page ready to go. So if you then go back to overview, click on publish, that will go live. Okay, so I'm going to take you down to one of the sites that I have created for a product that I am selling. So let's go to the metric tracker, for example. So if I go into edit, you can see that that's already on the thank you page. So we're going to change that back to product view. So introducing the monthly tracker, that's pulled through. What is it? Again, that has pulled through from Stripe. If I click on that, go to settings, the product view is this. This is the link to download. The success view, they get added to the metric tracker so that pulls it through. So it's not overcomplicated, but you can see I have changed the text in both of them. So whilst the image is the same, I have changed the text. I've got rid of the heading. So you can see that you can tweak it to be your own. Then if I click on done editing, and you can see if I go into Stripe, you can see people have bought it. If I go into digital products, again, I have changed that. So that is how it's done. That is how you add and they get that email. So that is how it's done. That is how you incorporate a product with Stripe. So it's really, really important. As I say, the main things that you need to make sure that you're doing is setting that product up in Stripe, putting it through. But when you are putting it through and putting it on that page, make sure that you are going to that success page. So you pull the product through, click on the clog, and it will say product and then success page, and make sure that you go to action after purchase and you want to change it to add to group, because then you will add it to a nurture sequence like we have on every other automation. You just go in, add a trigger. That trigger is when they are added to that group, you can send them an email and a follow-up sequence, but that's how it's done.